Hello, welcome to my ADI Part 3 series where I get all the answers about the tests from an ex-ADI enforcement officer, the people who will conduct your Part 2, Part 3 and standards check tests. I've put 16 of the most burning questions that both PDIs and ADIs ask about the test, and in this video I ask the question, what do I say at the end of the lesson during the debrief? Another question I get, what do I say at the end of the lesson? So
good question.
It's basically my summary.
The debrief, yeah.
What are you looking for as an examiner?
How it went, instead of saying, did you learn anything? Because then the person could say no, and you're on the back foot.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
No, what?
So, what's your biggest takeaway from today? What's the one thing you're really pleased with? Positive language like that is really good, because I'm asking you, what's the biggest thing you learned today? And that's inviting you to go, oh, I did this. And if you struggle, I can go, but how about that? You couldn't do that at the beginning. It make it easier for me to, so sort of, if you read the wordings, it's something, I can't remember the top of my head, but something to do with, getting the driver or the person to reflect on their performance in the lesson.
That's it, yeah. Did the instructor encourage the people to reflect on their performance?
Yeah, so as long as I'm doing that in a way that actually is meaningful. If I just said to you, do you think you learned something? You say yes. I say brilliant. Do you want to do this next time? You say no, I've got it. Brilliant. Well, that's probably a 1 or a 2. You want meaning behind, what was the biggest takeaway from today? Oh, well, I can do this now. Okay. And what's something that you still think in this subject matter that you still are unsure about, and you say this, and say, okay, just to help me plan the next lesson, what is it about that you're still unsure of that we didn't resolve? Oh, it's this, that, other. Okay, so maybe next time. That's a really good way of sort of just very quickly sort of, basically what you're saying to the examiner is, we didn't have time to do all of this, so and I know that it's only 45 minutes, no lesson in the world lasts that long normally, so it's logical there will still be unresolved things. So if I think to myself, what would I do if I was instructor? Well, to make my life easy, I would start to get the person thinking about what it was that we didn't quite get done that I can then do in the next one. But you can, that's a personal choice. So yeah, so what happened in the lesson? How did it go? What's your biggest takeaway? What's your biggest learning? If you use scaling, you could say you started with a 6 with an aim to get to an 8. Do you think you got that? And if you say yes, say brilliant. So what do you think the change was that leaped you up to that number? And what do you still think needs to happen to get from 8 to 10? So
if you start with a scaling, it'd be sensible to conclude.
It would be sensible to conclude with it. A big no-no, which I see quite often, is the person will say, you'll lead as the instructor and say, so you start with a 6, your aim was an 8, where do you think you got to? And the person says, oh, I think I got a 7. Then the instructor makes the mistake of saying, oh, I think you're higher than that. I think you're more like a 9. But I don't want to know what you I want to know what I want to know what they think and why they think it, and what it was that stopped them. Because sometimes it doesn't often mean that it's bad, it just means the person might be overly unconfident or really nervous, and then the instructor can say, well, actually, do you know what, you did actually quite well at that. I think you're being a bit hard on yourself. I think actually you did rather well. Not telling you that you're a different number, I'm just trying to give you some reassurance. That's actually quite good, And
I guess if they say a 7, the next step you could sort of say, well, what would it take to get to an 8? Then there's
exactly, yeah. Scaling's a very particular thing. Some people get it and like it, some people don't. I have met several people where it's their Bible and sometimes it's not. Me personally, I try to stay away from it because I get confused of what number it was and where we are now. But I have seen some fantastic examples of it. I
went on a development course. Scaling was introduced. I'd never heard of it. I went away, started using it. Now I don't. All I just sort of tend to say now is, how could you improve?
Exactly.
This is where you are now. What would it take to get you a little bit better?
That's a great way of saying it.
That's all you want is, did we value for money?
Yeah.
Did we take you from there? Have we progressed you a little bit in 45 minutes? If we've done that, I'm thinking, oh, we've kind of achieved something then.
Yeah.
And that's good for the learner, isn't it?
It's good for the learner.
The
debrief, typically, obviously, there's not as much importance on it as the briefing because you're closing it rather than opening it. So it just needs to be a summary of, you know, what the person feel they got out of it, what was useful, what's still room for development. That, you know, that should only really be taken 2 or 3 minutes.
One
maybe.
thing, when you was examiner and I was listening to a debrief with a PDI, there was something you said, which I maybe could expand on it, because you know, as a trainer, I haven't done all the training. You do months of training to do this, and there was something about that, the 3 points for the summary, where it's kind of like sits on its own, like you can, regardless of how the lesson went previous. Is that true, that you do a really good summary, there's 3 points on the table?
I've got to be careful what you say and what you don't say, but because some of it is internal to the DVSA. But one of the ways to simplify the marking sheet is to think about it in terms of 3 elements. So do you think, was it the right lesson? You know, okay, the person might have learned something from the lesson you taught, but actually you probably should have adapted and done something different. That's what I'm saying there. Was it the right lesson at this particular point in time? Did learning take place? That's a real crucial one. You know, it might have been the right lesson, but if you didn't learn anything, then that means it's pointless. So right lesson, learning took place, and did you keep the car safe? That has a 2 effect. 1, did you physically keep the car safe? So in other words, in that lesson, did you do what you could to keep the car safe? It might have been you intervened, might have been a conversation you had before something happened, it could have been a verbal intervention, something like that. But more subtly, it can also be what could happen as a result of what you've done. So if you say, for instance, to someone, when you pull away, just remember that you've always got to look over your left shoulder before you move off. That's the last thing you look at before you move away. And you do that in the lesson. Doesn't that lead to, nothing actually happens in the lesson? But then when I get out of the car and we meet up in the feedback, one of the things I'm going to say to you is it's only a matter of time before that is going to lead to a really serious accident. It's going to happen, it's just when. So I'm failing you on the result of something you've said that can impact someone's life down the line, not necessarily today. That's a really, some people misunderstand that sometimes when I'm given that, and I've had to try my hardest to explain to people what I mean. So did learning take place? Was it the right lesson? Did you keep the car safe? If you can get those 3 kind of as yeses, most likely you're going to have a pass usually, because those bleed into the lesson planning, the risk management, and the learning styles and strategies, I think it's called. Teaching styles or strategy. I can't remember the bottom box is called. Or the bottom title.
So and during that summary, because the sort of summaries I hear, like in training, is where the instructor does all the talking. Like they just regurgitate. So you've learnt this, you've done this, you've improved, you've done really well, blah blah blah, and the people's just like doesn't say anything, and they're just told that you have learnt something, haven't you? Did you see that much?
I do see that quite often, and it's quite important to say that the icing on the cake is if at the end of the lesson in the debrief you summarise the lesson. But there's multiple ways we assess if learning has taken place, and it doesn't always need to be things that's been said. You know, if you're sitting next to someone whose driving's a bit, you know, iffy at the beginning and it actually improves, you as examiners sometimes, especially if it's not their first language, sometimes it's a bit hard to understand exactly what has changed or what in their mind has been changed, especially if the instructor hasn't asked the question, what has changed for you? But I can see something's changed, because at the beginning they couldn't do it, now they can. So that means something's changed. Now all I've got to do is work out, is that just they could have worked that out on themselves by just practicing it in their own car, or is that something this person has done that's made that difference? And then from that I'm then thinking, well, that probably demonstrates learning really ineffectively, because I'd loved it if they'd have had a nice conversation about it. But that's one of multiple ways we assess learning, and the rate of learning, you know, how quickly learning has taken place into the lesson.
Good.